Have you ever sat at your breakfast table, looked down at your plate, and wondered if the food you're eating is fueling your future, or slowly stealing it? Maybe it was the greasy bacon that left you sluggish by midday, or the overly sweet cereal that gave you a sugar high followed by a crash. Maybe it was the frozen dinner or fast food burger that filled your stomach but left you wondering, why don't I feel energized anymore? For millions of Americans over 60, the quiet truth is this: every bite matters more than ever. After 60, food doesn't just keep you alive, it decides how you age. It decides whether you walk strong at 80 or struggle to climb a few steps. It decides whether your memory stays sharp or fades like an old photograph. And here's the shocking part: while doctors in America hand out pills and supplements, the oldest doctors in Japan, men and women who have seen generations live past 100, are saying something radically simple. They say, if you want to live long, don't wait for medicine. Just eat these foods every day, and your body will carry you to 100 with dignity and strength. Now pause and think about that. Japan is home to more centenarians, people who live past 100, than almost anywhere else on Earth. And it's not by accident. It's not because of expensive gyms or miracle supplements. It's because of food. Food chosen with intention, eaten daily, repeated for decades. Food that strengthens muscles, fuels energy, protects the heart, sharpens the brain, and soothes inflammation. Food that looks humble on the plate but works like medicine inside the body. And the best part, these foods are not locked away in Japan. They're available right here in America, waiting for you in your grocery store, often overlooked, often ignored, but powerful enough to change your future. Let's talk about the first truth the Japanese oldest doctors teach us: longevity is not about eating less. It's about eating right. Too many American seniors fall into two traps. Some overeat processed, cheap calories, fast food, frozen meals, sugary snacks that fill the belly but starve the cells. Others undereat, skipping meals, fearing weight gain, or losing their appetite, not realizing that their bodies are missing the very nutrients needed to stay strong. Both lead to weakness, fatigue, and faster aging. But Japanese elders avoid both traps. They don't eat until stuffed, but they don't starve themselves either. They eat with balance, focusing on small, nutrient-dense foods repeated every day. And those foods are not exotic. They are simple staples: vegetables, fish, soy, seaweed, and fermented foods. Each one brings unique power, and together they form a shield against decline. Imagine this. You wake up tomorrow and instead of reaching for sugary cereal, you prepare a small bowl of miso soup rich in fermented soybean paste. That warm, savory broth floods your gut with probiotics, healing your digestion, boosting your immunity, and helping you absorb every nutrient you eat that day. Then you add grilled fish, maybe salmon or mackerel, rich in omega-3 fatty acids that calm inflammation, strengthen your heart, and sharpen your brain. You add steamed vegetables, bright in color, loaded with antioxidants that protect your cells from damage. Maybe you add seaweed, a food Americans rarely touch, but one packed with minerals that keep your thyroid, bones, and circulation strong. And finally, you finish with green tea, rich in catechins that fight oxidative stress like shields against rust. That meal, humble and small, fuels more repair in your body than any pill. That meal, repeated day after day, becomes the reason Japanese elders walk strong at 90, laugh at 95, and see their grandchildren's grandchildren. Now let's dive deeper, because each food carries a story. Take fish, for example. In America, fish is often fried, breaded, or drowned in sauces. In Japan, fish is grilled, steamed, or lightly seasoned, allowing its natural fats to shine. Those fats, omega-3s, are the key. After 60, inflammation becomes the silent enemy. It stiffens joints, weakens the heart, clouds the brain, and accelerates muscle loss. Omega-3s fight that fire, cooling inflammation at the cellular level. They also protect neurons in the brain, lowering the risk of dementia, and they keep blood vessels flexible, lowering the risk of heart attack. That's why Japanese elders eat fish several times a week, sometimes daily. For Americans, the good news is you don't need sushi chefs or exotic species. Salmon, sardines, mackerel, tuna, these are available in cans, frozen packs, and local markets. You can start tomorrow simply by replacing one processed meat with a serving of fish. Now consider soy. In America, soy has been misunderstood, criticized, or processed into fake meat. But in Japan, soy is natural, whole, and fermented. Miso, tofu, natto, edamame, these are daily staples. And here's why they matter. Soy provides plant-based protein that fights sarcopenia, the age, related muscle loss that robs independence from seniors. Soy also provides isoflavones, compounds that balance hormones, protect bones, and lower cholesterol. And when soy is fermented, as in miso or natto, it delivers probiotics that heal the gut and strengthen immunity. That's why Japanese elders can digest, absorb, and thrive even in their 80s and 90s. And for Americans, tofu is available in every supermarket. Miso paste can be found in international aisles. Edamame is sold frozen. These aren't foreign luxuries. They're accessible tools for longevity. Now let's talk about vegetables. Japanese doctors warn that without vegetables, aging speeds up. Vegetables provide antioxidants, fiber, and phytonutrients that protect against cancer, heart disease, and memory decline. But here's the key: variety and color. In America, too many seniors eat the same limited vegetables: iceberg lettuce, potatoes, maybe a carrot. In Japan, elders eat a rainbow: carrots, spinach, daikon radish, seaweed, mushrooms, sweet potatoes, and more. Each color represents a different nutrient. Orange vegetables protect the eyes, green protect the bones, purple protect the brain. Together they form a complete defense. And here's the shocking truth: Japanese elders don't eat massive portions. They eat small servings, but of many kinds. That's the lesson Americans can apply. Don't eat one vegetable. Eat many in small amounts daily. Now let's pause on seaweed. Americans rarely think of it beyond sushi rolls, but for Japanese elders, it's a daily medicine. Seaweed is rich in iodine, magnesium, calcium, and unique polysaccharides that boost immunity. It supports thyroid function, which regulates metabolism and energy. It strengthens bones, which prevents fractures. It balances blood sugar, which prevents diabetes. And it delivers compounds not found in land plants. That's why Japanese elders add a strip of seaweed to soups, salads, or rice daily. And in America, dried seaweed snacks or kelp powder can deliver the same benefit, right from your local store. And then comes tea. Japanese doctors remind us that while water hydrates, tea heals. Green tea in particular is loaded with catechins, antioxidants that neutralize oxidative stress. Oxidative stress is the rust of aging, damaging cells, stiffening arteries, and clouding the brain. Catechins remove that rust, protecting heart, brain, and muscles. Green tea also contains L-theanine, which calms the mind without sedation, and caffeine in gentle amounts that sharpen focus without jitters. That's why Japanese elders sip tea throughout the day, not in massive mugs, but in small cups regularly. For Americans, green tea bags are cheap and available everywhere. By replacing soda or sugary coffee drinks with green tea, you're adding decades of defense with every sip. But here's the deeper truth. It's not just the food, it's the ritual. Japanese elders eat slowly, with gratitude, with awareness. They don't wolf down meals in front of televisions. They don't eat distracted or rushed. They savor, they appreciate, they connect food with life. That mindfulness lowers stress, improves digestion, and makes nutrients more effective. For Americans, the lesson is simple: don't just eat. Experience your food. Put down the phone, pause the noise, breathe, and taste. That shift alone can change how your body absorbs and uses food. Now let's connect this to your life. Imagine you are 70, 75, or 80. You wake up feeling stiff, worried about falls, tired before the day begins. But then you remember these foods. You replace sugary cereal with miso soup. You replace bacon with salmon. You replace white bread with steamed vegetables. You add seaweed, tofu, and green tea. Within weeks, your digestion improves. Within months, your energy rises. Within a year, your doctor tells you your cholesterol is better, your blood pressure steadier, your bones stronger. You notice fewer cramps, fewer colds, fewer nights of restless sleep. That's not fantasy. It's biology. That's the daily miracle Japanese elders live, and it's available to you too. So as we close this first chapter, remember this truth. The oldest doctors in Japan are not prescribing miracles. They're prescribing meals. They're not handing out pills. They're handing out bowls of soup, plates of fish, cups of tea. They're telling us what America has forgotten: longevity is built in kitchens, not pharmacies. And if you want to live past 100 with strength, dignity, and independence, the secret may not be locked in a laboratory. It may already be sitting on your plate. Because here's the real hook. The choice is in your hands every day. With every bite, you're either feeding decline or fueling longevity. And the foods Japanese elders eat every day, the foods their oldest doctors warn us not to ignore, are the foods that can keep you strong, steady, and alive far longer than you imagine. When we left off, we uncovered how Japanese elders use food as daily medicine, miso soup to heal the gut, fish to fight inflammation, vegetables to protect the body, seaweed to strengthen bones, and green tea to clear the rust of aging. But the Japanese oldest doctors say something even more important. It's not just what you eat, it's what you don't eat. And for Americans over 60, this is where the biggest difference lies. Because while Japanese elders are adding foods that heal, too many Americans are filling their plates with foods that harm. Foods that accelerate muscle loss, weaken the heart, and rob years of independence. The doctors warn us, you cannot expect to live to 100 if every day you feed disease instead of fighting it. And that warning is not meant to scare you. It's meant to wake you up, to remind you that you have power every time you pick up a fork. Think about this. In America, the average senior's breakfast is often cereal from a box, loaded with sugar, stripped of fiber, and fortified with synthetic vitamins that don't absorb well. Or maybe it's white toast with jam, a burst of sugar and processed wheat that spikes blood sugar and leaves muscles starving. Compare that with a Japanese elder's breakfast: miso soup, steamed vegetables, maybe a small piece of grilled fish, and green tea. One meal builds, the other breaks. One prepares you for the day, the other leaves you drained. And over decades, those small daily choices add up. One pathway leads to frailty in your 70s, the other leads to strength into your 90s. The oldest doctors in Japan often repeat a principle they call hara-hachiba, eat until you're 80% full. Why? Because overeating, especially processed calories, overloads the system, spikes insulin, and accelerates aging. Americans are taught to clean the plate, to supersize, to see fullness as the goal. Japanese elders stop just short, leaving the body satisfied but not strained. And here's the secret: that restraint lowers inflammation, reduces strain on the heart, and extends lifespan. But it doesn't mean starvation, it means precision. They fill that 80% with foods that heal, not with empty calories. And that's a message Americans over 60 can take to heart. It's not just about eating less, it's about eating smarter. Let's dive deeper into specific foods Japanese doctors recommend daily. One of the most powerful is sweet potatoes, particularly the purple sweet potatoes eaten in Okinawa, one of the world's blue zones, where people live longer than almost anywhere else. These potatoes are rich in complex carbohydrates that fuel the body steadily, without the crashes caused by refined sugars. They're loaded with fiber, which heals digestion and lowers cholesterol. And they're bursting with anthocyanins, antioxidants that protect the brain and lower inflammation. For Japanese elders, a small serving of sweet potato is a daily ritual. For Americans, it can be a game changer. Instead of white bread or sugary cereal, imagine roasting sweet potatoes, slicing them into warm chunks and eating them with breakfast. Imagine swapping fries for baked purple sweet potatoes at dinner. That one switch provides steady energy, protects memory, and rebuilds strength. Another daily staple Japanese doctors emphasize is fermented foods. Americans are used to yogurt, yes, but the variety and power of fermentation in Japan goes far beyond that. Miso, natto, pickled vegetables, these are eaten daily. Fermentation creates probiotics, living bacteria that heal the gut. And here's something most seniors don't realize: your gut controls everything. It controls nutrient absorption, inflammation, even mood and immunity. When the gut is weak, the body is weak. When the gut is strong, the body thrives. Natto, for example, is a sticky fermented soybean dish packed with vitamin K2, critical for bone strength and circulation. Japanese doctors warn that without K2, calcium doesn't reach the bones, it clogs arteries instead. That's why osteoporosis and heart disease are less common in Japan. Americans can access fermented foods too: yogurt, kefir, sauerkraut, kimchi. But too many seniors skip them, leaving their gut defenses down. Adding just one fermented food a day can transform digestion, immunity, and energy. Let's not forget fruit. Japanese elders eat fruit sparingly, not in giant sugary portions, but in small, fresh servings. Apples, persimmons, mandarins, berries. Each provides antioxidants, vitamins, and natural sweetness without the overload of processed desserts. Compare that to the average American senior who snacks on cookies, ice cream, or packaged cakes. One provides healing, the other fuels decline. Japanese doctors often remind their patients, fruit is medicine, not candy. A slice of orange or a handful of berries daily can protect the brain, lower blood pressure, and steady energy. Americans have the same access, but the choice has to be intentional. Now, let's look at rice. For decades, Americans believed rice was empty carbs, but Japanese elders eat rice daily. Small portions of short grain rice, often mixed with barley or other grains. The difference is moderation and preparation. Rice provides steady glucose for the brain, but when paired with vegetables, fish, and fermented foods, it doesn't spike blood sugar. Japanese doctors warn it's not rice that's the enemy, it's how you pair it. Americans drown it in sauces, eat massive bowls, or combine it with fried foods. Elders in Japan keep it simple, balanced, and small. That balance is what protects energy without overloading the body. But food is not only fuel. In Japan, food is also community. Doctors often point out that elders who eat together live longer. Meals are shared, not eaten alone in front of a television. That sharing lowers stress, lifts mood, and strengthens social bonds. And social bonds protect health as much as food itself. For American seniors, this is a lesson: don't isolate. Share meals with friends, family, or neighbors. Make eating a ritual of connection, not just consumption. Now let me share the story of Yumi, a 92-year-old woman from Okinawa. She wakes up every morning with a small cup of green tea, a bowl of miso soup, and a serving of purple sweet potato. She tends to her garden, walks daily, and shares meals with her neighbors. She doesn't count calories. She doesn't take handfuls of supplements. She simply repeats these daily foods, day after day, year after year. And at 92, she still bends to pull weeds, still laughs with friends, still carries herself with grace. Compare that to many American seniors in their 70s, already struggling with walkers, medications, and loss of independence. The difference is not genetics, it's choices. Japanese doctors warn, do not wait until sickness comes to change. Prevention is built in daily meals. That is why Japanese elders live past 100. They don't wait for disease to strike. They live in ways that prevent it. And that prevention is not complicated. It's miso soup instead of cereal, fish instead of processed meats, sweet potatoes instead of fries, tea instead of soda, fermented foods instead of sugary snacks. Day after day, repeated until health becomes natural. So what does this mean for you, an American over 60? It means your plate today is your future tomorrow. It means you don't need to fly to Japan or buy exotic products. The foods are here, affordable, accessible, ready to be chosen. It means your breakfast can decide if your legs feel heavy or light, if your memory fades or sharpens, if your heart weakens or grows stronger. And it means that by following the wisdom of Japanese oldest doctors, you can write a different story for yourself. One where age doesn't steal everything. One where you live with dignity, strength, and independence. Because here's the truth, you don't have to wait for a miracle drug. You don't have to accept frailty as inevitable. You don't have to let sarcopenia, heart disease, or memory loss dictate your future. You can fight back with food. And the Japanese have shown us the way. So as we close this second chapter, remember this: Japanese elders are not superheroes. They're people who make simple, daily choices. They eat these foods not once in a while, but every single day. And because of that, they walk strong past 90, they laugh at 95, and they live past 100 with dignity. That's the warning and the wisdom the oldest doctors in Japan want you to hear. Eat these foods daily, and you give yourself the same chance, not just to live long, but to live well. When you hear about people living past 100 in Japan, it's easy to think it must be something mysterious, something magical, something far out of reach for ordinary Americans. But the oldest Japanese doctors are clear. There is no magic pill, no secret gene, no impossible ritual. The truth is much simpler. It is daily food, simple, consistent, nourishing food, that becomes the medicine of longevity. And if you're over 60 in America, that's the best news you could ever hear, because it means your future is still in your hands. In this last part of our journey, let's bring it all together. We've already seen how miso soup, fish, vegetables, seaweed, sweet potatoes, fermented foods, fruit, and green tea form the backbone of Japanese longevity. We've seen how avoiding processed, sugary, and chemical-laden foods keeps the body from falling apart too quickly. But now, let's talk about rhythm, routine, and repetition. Because living to 100 isn't about what you do once. It's about what you do daily. The Japanese oldest doctors emphasize that healing is not a one-time act. You don't eat a bowl of miso soup and suddenly add 5 years to your life. You don't sip green tea once and feel your arteries open overnight. Instead, it's the steady, unbroken rhythm, day after day, week after week, that adds up. That rhythm becomes the quiet force that protects you as the years roll by. And here's the beautiful part: you can start today, no matter your age. Imagine your mornings. Instead of waking up and reaching for coffee loaded with sugar or a bowl of boxed cereal, you start with a warm cup of green tea. It clears the fog, fuels your brain, and floods your cells with antioxidants. Then, instead of white toast or pastries, you have miso soup with some vegetables, maybe even a slice of fish or a boiled egg. Suddenly, your breakfast is not just calories. It's fuel, medicine, protection. That morning ritual becomes the foundation of your strength. Now picture your lunch. Instead of a fast food burger or processed sandwich, you choose a bowl of rice with beans, vegetables, and maybe some seaweed sprinkled on top. You finish with fruit instead of cookies. What have you done? You've lowered inflammation, steadied your blood sugar, and fueled your muscles with protein and fiber. And you've done it with foods that cost no more, and often less, than the fast food most Americans choose. Then picture your dinner. Instead of heavy fried foods, processed meats, or sugary desserts, you have a piece of grilled fish, a serving of sweet potato, a salad of fresh vegetables, and maybe a small portion of miso soup again. To drink, you choose tea instead of soda. That's not deprivation, that's abundance. That's giving your body everything it needs to heal overnight, so you wake up stronger tomorrow. Now, I know what some of you may be thinking. This sounds nice, but I'm American. I don't live in Japan. I don't have access to exotic foods. But let me remind you, every single one of these foods is available in your grocery store. Miso paste is sold in the international aisle. Sweet potatoes are stacked in the produce section. Fish, canned or fresh, is everywhere. Greek yogurt and kefir, which are cousins to Japanese fermented foods, are in the dairy aisle. Green tea is sold in boxes next to the coffee. None of this requires a plane ticket to Okinawa. It just requires a choice, your choice. The Japanese doctors often say, your kitchen is your pharmacy. That means the power to heal is not sitting in a prescription bottle. It's sitting in your fridge and pantry. And if you think about it, that's exactly how Americans used to live too. Our grandparents didn't grow up on processed cereals and drive-through meals. They ate beans, potatoes, fish, vegetables, bread made from whole grains. They cooked at home, shared meals with family, and stayed active. In many ways, following the Japanese elders is simply returning to the wisdom Americans already knew but forgot. Let's talk about one more critical piece: portion size. Japanese elders live by the rule of hara hachibo. Eat until you're 80% full. Why does this matter? Because overeating strains your body. It spikes insulin, stresses digestion, and creates fat storage instead of repair. Seniors in Japan eat smaller portions, but they eat them more mindfully, with gratitude, and filled with nutrient-dense foods. For Americans, this is a shift that can save years of life. You don't have to starve, you just have to stop before stuffed. Listen to your body and you'll find that less is often more. Now, let me share the story of Kenji, a 101-year-old man from Okinawa. Every day, Kenji wakes up and eats a small breakfast of miso soup, steamed vegetables, and rice. For lunch, he has sweet potatoes, tofu, and greens. For dinner, a small piece of fish, vegetables, and fruit. He walks daily, tends his garden, and laughs with friends. When asked his secret, he said, I never ate to be full. I always ate to live another day. Compare that with the American habit of overeating, of piling plates high, of eating until we can't move. The difference shows not just in waistlines, but in lifespans. Another critical part of Japanese wisdom is community. Doctors in Japan emphasize that eating together strengthens health as much as the food itself. Shared meals reduce stress, improve digestion, and create bonds that protect against loneliness and depression. Studies show that seniors who eat alone are more likely to die earlier than those who share meals. That's why Japanese elders rarely eat alone. They eat with family, with neighbors, with friends. For Americans, this is a powerful reminder: don't isolate. Invite a friend for lunch. Share dinner with family. Join a community meal at church. Eating together is medicine too. And let's not ignore movement. While food is the foundation, Japanese elders also move daily. They garden, they walk, they stretch. They don't necessarily go to gyms, but their days are filled with natural activity. And here's where food and movement connect. When you eat nutrient-rich foods, your muscles recover faster, your joints ache less, and your energy rises, making you more likely to move. And when you move, your body uses those nutrients to build strength instead of storing fat. It's a cycle of healing repeated daily. So how can you put all of this into action as an American over 60? Start small. Swap your sugary breakfast for miso soup or eggs with vegetables. Replace soda with green tea. Add beans or lentils to your lunch. Fish twice a week instead of processed meats. Snack on fruit instead of cookies. Roast sweet potatoes instead of fries. Add sauerkraut or yogurt for gut health. None of this requires perfection. It requires consistency. Because the Japanese elders didn't live long by eating perfectly once in a while, they lived long by eating wisely every day. I want you to imagine your life 6 months from now if you take these steps. You wake up with more energy, your legs don't feel as heavy, and you walk across the room without fear of falling. You climb your stairs without gripping the rail. You play with your grandchildren without worrying about keeping up. Your doctor tells you your blood pressure is lower, your cholesterol is steadier, your weight is healthier. You feel sharper, stronger, and more independent. And you realize it wasn't a drug, it wasn't surgery, it wasn't luck, it was food. Daily, simple, nourishing food. And here's the most important truth. It's not too late. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or even 90, your body can still respond. Muscles can rebuild. Bones can strengthen. The brain can sharpen. The heart can heal. But only if you give your body the tools it needs. And those tools are on your plate. The Japanese oldest doctors warn us, do not wait until you are sick to change. Prevention is the key. But even if you're already facing weakness, fatigue, or illness, change now. Every better choice you make today builds a better tomorrow. So as we close this journey, let me leave you with this vision. Imagine yourself at 90, at 95, even at 100. You're not frail, you're not dependent, you're not trapped. You're walking, smiling, living with dignity. You're enjoying your family, your friends, your life. And when people ask your secret, you smile and say, I ate the foods that healed me. That's the wisdom of Japanese oldest doctors. That's the path you can choose. And here's my challenge to you. Starting tomorrow, add one of these foods to your plate. Drink green tea instead of soda. Add miso soup to breakfast. Roast sweet potatoes for dinner. Snack on fruit instead of cookies. One change today, another tomorrow. Build the rhythm, the habit, the lifestyle. And before you know it, you'll be living the way Japanese elders have lived for centuries, strong, steady, and independent well into old age. Because your best years are not behind you. They're still ahead. And if you want to claim them, the power is in your kitchen. So don't wait. Don't put this off. Start today. Eat the foods, build the strength, live the life. And when you feel the difference, come back here, because every week I share the secrets that keep seniors strong, independent, and thriving. Subscribe, stay connected, and together we'll make sure you walk into your future with confidence, power, and freedom. Because you deserve not just to live long, but to live well.